This lesson is survival lessons from nature, and in this lesson students will learn about installation of animals. Some of the objectives will be to be able to explain how installation works, and they'll also be able to give examples. They will list be able to list three animals and identify the methods they use for installation. They'll also be able to build a shelter utilizing heat conservation methods, and they'll state at least one action they can do at home to conserve energy. And they'll also describe 2 heat conservation methods that people have learned from wildlife. Well, here I have set up all the different items you'll need for each activity. This is the wrap-up activity. There'll be papers for writing poems on. They'll also have pencils. And for the warm-up activity, we'll be using the cards and the straws for demonstration. The cards will be used for one of the activities. And then for the thermal activity, you'll have gloves, a bucket, and a thermometer. And for the installation experiment, they will have different types of fur and feathers and down, and there'll also be these tiles that we'll use. Alright, you can introduce the lesson by telling them they'll be learning about something every animal needs, and that is characteristics that help them survive. Alright, for the warm-up activity, we'll be handing out cards like the ones I have here, and that they have, and they'll be instructed not to allow the other students to see their cards, and they will have to act out the characteristics of whatever animal they have on their card. And other students are supposed to try and guess what animal they are. To start off the lesson, you'll take the kids, and they have these tiles here, and we'll take them outside and we'll place them in a snowbank if there is one. And at the end of the lesson, we'll double check on them and see which ones are warm. During the lesson, we'll discuss like feathers and characteristics of feathers and fur, and what benefits are of some of them, and what makes them stand out. Alright, for this activity, which is the thermal activity, we'll have students learn about how temperature changes. And first, we'll have the students come in, and we'll have one volunteer, and they'll take their thumb temperature thermometer, and after taking their temperature, we will have them put their hand in some cold water or some ice water or some snow for about 10 seconds, and then we'll take it out and we'll have them dry their hand off, and then we'll recheck their temperature to see how it has changed. And we will make observations about the changes, and we will then discuss the students what they could do to limit the amount of change that the cold water or snow did on it. So we could have them use insulation, some type of insulation like these gloves here, and then recheck it. For this part of the lesson, we'll be coming over probably to the Subnivian shelter, and for this, along the way, we'll have students observe, looking for possible signs of wildlife, that maybe their homes and stuff like that. And when we get here, I'll hand out some cards with something written on them. I won't tell them about it right away though, and from there you'll discuss if they think it would be warmer in the shelter, if it'd be warmer staying in the shelter, or if it'd be warmer out. And then after that, you can discuss something like if they think it would be warmer under the snow or covered in snow or not. And after that, then we'll proceed to having them make miniature shelters. And from there, we'll take a look at some of the shelters that the students are making. And out of those shelters will be made out of what I listed on the piece of paper for them. Alright, for the end, you can do a wrap-up lesson, which would be, it's kind of a poem that you have the students make. You'll start out by having them come up with an animal. For the conclusion, you'll go over the main points of the lesson, and you'll ask the students a question that demonstrates their understanding of the lesson. They'll be able to demonstrate through the objectives, explain how installation works, and they'll be able to give examples. They'll be able to list 3 animals, identify methods they use to conserve heat. They also build a shelter utilizing heat conservation techniques, and they'll be able to state at least one action they can take to conserve heat energy in their homes. And they'll also be able to describe 2 heat conservation methods people have learned from wildlife.